What if I told you there was a way to use pandas just like you do now, except it could be 500 times faster? And I mean just like you do now, with zero coding changes. If you want to learn how to do this, then stick around for this video.
Hi, and welcome back to the channel. In the last video, we talked about big data and what it was and why it was important to think about things like scalability. In this video, we're going to start talking about solutions to scalability, specifically solutions that sit on your hardware, and how you can work with pandas in a very similar way, but process a data frame not on your CPU, rather on your GPU. And we're specifically going to see a speed test to show you why this is so important. This is so that in the next few videos, we can start covering how to start using cuDF to load up a data frame on your GPU. So if you want to learn about cuDF and why it's important, and most importantly, where it sits within things like pandas, polars, and Dask, then stick around for this video, and I'm going to walk you through all these different things so that you can make the best solution for your particular problem. So where does cuDF sit within the spectrum of data processing in Python? Well, if you're doing any kind of data analysis or data science with Python, or you're taking a course on Python for data science, there is a very good chance, if not a definite chance, that you're going to start being introduced to pandas relatively soon if you haven't already. And the reason for this is because pandas is the industry standard for working with data in Python. Now, pandas has a lot of advantages. It's used by the giant Python community at large. And the reason for this is because it's been around for a very long time. It allows for you to do complex data analysis all within Python. If you're thinking about something like an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file, you're able to manipulate it, change it, analyze it, and do a lot of other things, and also works really well with other libraries. It allows for you to graph data very easily. Pandas is used by a lot of individuals.
But there's one major thing impacting pandas.
It's single-threaded, which means that it's not leveraging all of your CPUs on your system. This is more of not a reflection of pandas, but rather a reflection of Python as a whole. Python natively, for a long time, it's recently changed, was not able to leverage multiprocessing very efficiently. And this goes into the deep issues of Python as a whole and something tied to the GIL, which we're not going to cover in this video. What you need to know is that pandas, while being very useful and having a very approachable syntax and used by a large community, doesn't allow for you to process data sets very efficiently. Now, when you're working with smaller data sets in like a classroom setting, this is all fine because the processing time is negligibly different if you're working with 10,000 rows versus 15,000 rows. Problems start to surface, however, when you start to work with 1,000,000+ rows in pandas. This is when you start to notice pandas bottlenecking and taking slower to do basic tasks, and taking a very long time to do complex tasks, especially things that need to do robust string querying with things like regular expressions or regex. And so we need a solution to working with large data sets in Python. Now, for the longest time, there were really two chief competitors to this problem.
There was Dask and there was polars.
Now, these each tackle this problem a little differently. I'm not going to cover them extensively in this video, but what you need to know is that Dask came around really because large data sets can't necessarily fit into memory all the time. And so what you need to be able to do is be able to pass those off onto your hard drive and be able to load them up in chunks or maybe even distribute them across multiple machines. This is where Dask really shines.
On the other side of this is polars. Polars tries to use the same operations as pandas, but is fundamentally different than Dask. Polars
It's much more efficient because it distributes tasks in parallel across your entire CPU setup on your computer. This means that you can process things much more quickly and much more efficiently with polars. Now, both Dask and polars are loading up your data in your RAM and leveraging all the analysis on your CPUs. So what do we want to do if we want to speed up things even further? And we've got the ability to leverage NVIDIA GPUs that are CUDA accelerated. Well, this is where cuDF comes into play. cuDF, which comes from NVIDIA, allows for us to leverage CUDA, this is the Cu in cuDF, and pass all of the data not onto our CPU, but rather pass all the tasks onto our GPU, which natively support multiprocessing. This means that you're able to not only do things more efficiently because it's distributed across your entire GPU, but your GPU is also much more efficient at handling these kinds of tasks than your CPU. Which means it's able to leverage all of the things your computer has to offer, assuming you have a GPU available, and is able to run everything much more efficiently than even polars. But don't take my word for it. Let's take a look at a real-world example. A great way to demonstrate this principle of the speed up boost is to take a look at a real world example. Here I have loaded up approximately 4.3 million rows from the American Stories Parquet dataset from Daniel von Streen. Now in this we have a whole bunch of different fields. For right now, we're really just interested in this article field. This is the article itself. Each of these is a newspaper article from a particular period in history. I'm looking at articles from 1938 all the way up to 1945, so a subset of this dataset, which consists of about 77 million rows. Now let's go ahead and take a look at stuff that I've already done for us in this video. I ran a speed test so that we can look to see how long it takes on our CPU to find a very specific regex pattern. In this case, we're looking for a capitalized word. Notice here we have the start of a capital letter followed by a sequence of lowercase letters followed by an end of a sequence. So in this case, we're looking for any start of a capital letter, continuation of lowercase letters, and then the end of that. Usually a break like a space or a period. Now we're going to be looking for all of this across the article field. We have a handy function to do this. And essentially what we're doing is we're just looking to see if this regex pattern appears anywhere in article, and if so, return all of the different lists of everything that matches that particular pattern. If we run this speed test, we'll notice that it takes here about 40 seconds to run on our CPU across all 4.3 million rows of data. Now that's not too bad. It's actually better than what I was expecting. But this is a very simple regex search, and it's only one. This number increases dramatically with the more complexity that we introduce and the greater number of patterns that we look for against this article field. And if we look over here, our output looks like this. We have all of our capitalized words all returned for us as a new field that we can kind of examine. So that's how long it takes on the CPU. But by just simply importing cuDF, like we see right here, we're able to benchmark it and we're able to see that this entire process is done, the exact same function is done in 2.7 seconds. Now this is roughly about a 20 time increase. This is going to vary by machine and it's going to vary by hardware, meaning your CPU and your GPU. This is my particular setup that I have, and this is what I'm seeing. This is also something that is comparable to other systems out there. So this is one of the main reasons why this series is so important. It allows for us to really speed up a lot of our workflows. And while a speed up of only about really 38 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, when you're doing data analysis, you're going to be doing more complex things than just this. So speed up boosts like this are really instrumental in helping us speed up our workflow and making our code more performant. And there we can see that we have a much faster process if we pass everything off to our GPU. And this is really important. Now, why am I able to do this? Well, I'm able to do this thanks to our sponsors for today's video, Dell and NVIDIA. So let's take a look at the workstation that I'm using.
I am very excited because this entire series is being done on this machine behind me. This is the Dell Workstation Precision 3680, and inside of it is a beast of a setup. It's got an RTX 5000 ADA from NVIDIA. This is a GPU with 32 gigabytes of VRAM, which is more than enough to not only run inference with most of the models that I need, but also even fine-tune them, models like Qwen 2VL. This is a massive GPU that not only allows me to leverage machine learning more easily, it also allows me to do things like what we're seeing in this series, load up large datasets, thanks to NVIDIA's GPU accelerated Python packages like cuDF, cuGraph, and cuML. So thank you so much to Dell and NVIDIA for really sponsoring this series and giving me this workstation. This workstation came installed with Ubuntu 24.04 and was very easy to set up. And I'm really excited about this because, as you all probably know, I'm a digital nomad. I travel full time. I can't bring a workstation like this with me everywhere I go, despite the fact that it has a very small footprint. That said, I'm going to be spinning this up as a workstation server that I can call from anywhere I'm at in the world. So for the next few months, while I'm in Argentina, I'll be able to access this GPU and keep on bringing you content from it for the next few months. So thanks again, NVIDIA and Dell.
And if you're interested in content like this, then you might be interested in the GTC AI conference hosted by NVIDIA in San Jose, California from March 17th to March 21. If you're interested, then check out the link for the GTC conference down below, where you can also find the links to the workstation that I'm using, as well as the NVIDIA card and everything else. Now, if you're wondering how you can get started with cuDF, then let's go ahead and jump on into VS Code and take a look at how we can install it. There's a couple things that you need to know because it's going to be system dependent and CUDA dependent. So let's pop on over to VS Code right now. If you want to begin using cuDF, then you need to know what version of CUDA you have installed on your system. Now, the best way to do this is to use NVIDIA-SMI. And when we execute this command, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, we're able to see the system that we're using. Here we can see in the top right corner, my CUDA version is 12.4. Now I have also here an RTX 5000 Ada. Now what we know here is that I'm using essentially version 12 plus here. Now this is very important. Depending on your CUDA setup, you might see CUDA version 11 here. And this is going to affect what version of cuDF that you need to install. And so I have here in this notebook the ability to install either one of these. If you have CUDA 11, you're going to install this line right here and uncomment it out. And if you're using version 12, you're going to install this version here and likewise comment that out. I'm going to leave both of these commented out so you can uncomment out the correct version for you. Once you go ahead and select the right version, it'll take quite a while to install. As you can tell, I've already installed everything. It took me, with a fairly fast internet, about 3 or 4 minutes to install all of the dependencies. There's a lot, as you can see here. Once you have it installed, you're able to start leveraging cuDF. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can use cuDF. Now, one thing that we can do is we can import cuDF and use it just like regular Pandas syntax. There's another way that we can actually use cuDF, though. The other option that we have is we can go ahead and just paste in magic command load_ext space cuDF.pandas. And this will allow us to use pandas just as we normally would without changing any syntax at all. Both of these are viable options. The one thing that you need to be familiar with is if you import cuDF like this, then you're going to need to load up a data frame by specifying it something like this. So df equals cuDF.dataframe combined dataset, or some kind of dataset that you need to point to. That's going to be all for this video though. I'm going to join you in the next video. And so that's how easy it is to install cuDF and get started with it. Hopefully this video has been helpful in understanding where cuDF fits within the overall schema of things like Polaris, Dask, and Pandas, and why it's important to consider using cuDF. And also, hopefully this video gives you a sense of some of the real tangible benefits, mainly the speed boost by passing off these tasks onto your GPU. Over the course of the next few videos, we're going to be building on a lot of the Pandas work that I have on this channel. I've got about 15 or 20 videos on Pandas, but what we're going to be focusing on these videos is using cuDF to work with larger data sets and some of the fun things that we can do in large data sets and the analysis that we can do with them using cuDF. So thank you so much for watching this video and join me in the next one.